Agree.
Okay. To see a child sitting in a field dissecting a dead body would be quite a shock today. But in the 16th century, it was just someone making the most of a discarded criminal. Andreas Vesalius was that child. He was the true father of anatomy and medicine. However, he died penniless in a foreign country in an unmarked grave, buried by a stranger in 1564. Stephen Joffe, in his 2009 book, Andreas Vesalius, The Making, the Madman, the Myth, states an unknown fan said, "Great misery and strange accidents hover over the life of man." An ironic statement for such a prominent figure in death. I'm going to tell you about Vesalius' life, contributions, and mysterious death. Vesalius came from a pedigree of medicine and was destined to be one as well. In his love for dissection and anatomy, he would go on to disprove historical greats such as Galen and Hippocrates. 4 generations before him had been physicians of the courts, and his brother also became a doctor. All of his medical documents handed down amassed a large library where he could be found reading as a child. Growing up, he dissected animals in fields, and his mother saw his passion for being a doctor and encouraged him to follow in the physician footsteps of their family. At the age of 14, he entered the University of Louvain in Belgium. At the age of 17, he went on to another university to study Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and Arabic. However, he was impatient at this time to get back to his medical studies. In 1533, he went on to the University of Paris, and it was a pretty conservative university, and so most of the dissections took place in the basements of the hospitals, and he said that most of them were more like ceremonies, and he was pretty unsatisfied at that time. Mostly, at this time, most of the teachings were from books, and Vesalius wanted to have more of a hands-on teaching experience for himself and for other students, and so at this time, he would have to sneak off and kind of do it himself. Suddenly, at this time, works from Galen and Hippocrates were being translated. A lot of them were in a lot of different languages that nobody had the time or the means to translate. And so the passionate students and doctors were very hungry for this information and just ate it up. However, most of Galen's teachings were on dissected animals, and so Vesalius was spending a lot of time trying to not discredit him, but to disprove him that the human body was a lot different. Students would beg him to go to the Cemetery of the Innocents and teach them how to differentiate the different bones. They would play these bone games where they would have wagers going, and they would be blindfolded, and they would have to identify the bones in the dark. And Dr. Chambers here at OSU teaches this way in his class. In 1537, Vesalius went on to Venice and got his doctorate at the University of Padua. He was offered the position of head of surgery and anatomy the next day. He was finally able to officially teach the way that he wanted to teach and to have his students learn from him that way. He went on to disprove the practice of bloodletting and teach about circulation, and even found things wrong with Aristotle's teachings. According to Wikipedia in 2011, in 1543 he had a public dissection of an animal where he assembled the bones, or I'm sorry, the criminal, where he assembled the bones, and this skeleton is the oldest known anatomical preparation and is still displayed in the Anatomical Museum to this day. On a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, for whatever reason, he died penniless on an island after a shipwreck, and was buried by a stranger who somehow recognized him laying on the beach. This may be a myth, this may be true. The cause was unknown. So it's kind of ironic how his life ended so fast and strange. In conclusion, Vesalius did remarkable work starting at a young age and went to where no other scientist had gone. He produced some of the world's most amazing illustrations that were published. In 1973, Saunders and O'Malley, in their book, The Illustrated Works of Andreas Vesalius, state that had Vesalius been allowed to resume his research in the university, it is quite possible that the whole field of medicine could have been advanced by half a century. I think about him as I dissect here at OSU, and I wonder what it would have been like to have been taught by him, because he has inspired me in so many ways. And then I remember that this was who my professors were taught by, and now they have passed that on to me, and I try to pass that on to my students as well. Thank you.